Thank you. You may be seated. I will now request the secretary to read the order of the day.
Debate on vote number 17, Social Development Appropriation Bill.
Order members, I will now invite the Minister of Social Development, Minister, to come and open the debate. Honorable Dlamini. Honorable Minister, I'm very sorry. They say we must use this one. Let me just inform others. Those from this side, you will use this one. Those from this side, you'll use this one. And if you are the next speaker, there is an open seat here for you. You come and sit here. Thank you. Over to you, ma'am.
Honorable Chairperson, Deputy Minister of Social Development, Ms. Henrietta Bukupane Zulu, the Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Social Development, Mrs. Zolega Kapa, Honorable Members of Parliament, MECs for Social Development, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Before I begin with our budget vote speech, let us all mourn, remember, and celebrate the life of our fallen mother and struggle icon, Mama Ruth Sikhumutsi Mampati. Mama Ruth went into exile in 1962, where she underwent military training and became a leader in MK. She dedicated her life to the struggle for freedom. 21 years ago, Nelson Mandela walked into this house as a newly elected president of a democratic South Africa and committed the ANC government to the realization of a better life for all. Then, as now, our quest has been, and it remains, to give a more human face to our society. I stand here today humbled by the task of continuing to carry this mandate forward and grateful for the trust our people have bestowed on this government. I would like to particularly welcome the representatives of NPOs, our development partners, social grant beneficiaries, and some of the recipients of our social work scholarship who are seated in the public gallery. Budget Vote 17 remains faithful to the vision and ideals of the forefathers of our struggle, who are the architects of the freedom that we enjoy today. As we mark the 60th anniversary of the adoption of the Freedom Charter, we celebrate the unity of our people and the undeniable fact that our government continues to implement progressive policies which have brought our founding documents, the Freedom Charter and the Constitution, to life. Honorable Chairperson, as I present this budget, allow me to express my deepest condolences to the families of those who lost their lives during the tragic incidents of attacks on international migration of African descent in some parts of our country. The despicable acts of brutality are at variance with the Freedom Charter and our Constitution. President Zuma reminded us we must never forget the support our brothers and sisters who came to our assistance in our darkest hours. As government, we applaud our fellow South Africans who took a stand against the attacks on international migrants and actively took part in anti-xenophobic campaigns that we are Africans. We welcome the move taken by President Jacob Zuma to establish the Interministerial Committee on Migration, of which I am part. The IMC is to consider all aspects of migration into the country and its social and economic consequences. In response to the attacks of international migrants, we attended to the plight of children and pregnant women, and the Department of Social Development is working with other departments on a reintegration program for the displaced persons. Our intention is to promote peaceful coexistence, mutual trust, and respect between locals, continental migrants, and internal migrants within the communities of South Africa. Chairperson, South Africa is a country scarred by decades of oppression, exclusion, and violence. And we have not, since the Truth and Reconciliation Commission works towards fundamentally healing those scars. Let these unfortunate events spur us on to talk, heal, and deal with the hurt of racism, sexism, tribalism, and economic oppression. The strengthening of families is at the center of all our efforts to address social ills, such as teenage pregnancy, substance and drug abuse, as well as violence against women and children. We will continue to implement the family strengthening and family preservation programs of the White Paper on Families. Honorable Chairperson, this financial year, the Department of Social Development received a budget of 137 billion rand. Of this amount, 130 billion rand is allocated for the payment of social assistance program, which comprise almost 95% of the total budget allocation. This budget provides an opportunity to accelerate our march towards attaining Vision 2030 as espoused in the NDP. Allow me to commend the selfless and dedicated contribution of our non-profit organizations. These organizations continue through their efforts to extend our footprint. In the last financial year, as the social development sector, we spent approximately 6.5 billion rand towards funding of NPOs. Through the NDA, we have capacitated more than 6,500 NPOs on institutional strengthening so that they are able to conduct their work effectively and efficiently. This comprehensive capacity building program has benefited over 11,000 NPO staff. Furthermore, the NDA has established advisory centers in all district municipalities as incubation hubs for the NPOs. Ladies and gentlemen, as part of ongoing consultation with the sector, I am hosting a two-day NPO dialogue with 200 NPOs representing all provinces. It is my hope that this will provide the department with an opportunity to solicit inputs that will enrich the 10-point plan as one of the key resolutions of the historic 2012 NPO Summit. This event is taking place at Kwalanga Sports Complex today and will end tomorrow with a clear plan to address identified interventions. Ladies and gentlemen, it is common cause that our social assistance program is South Africa's most effective anti-poverty initiative. However, despite significant gains made in extending the coverage of more than 16 million South Africans, including 11.6 million children and 3.1 million older persons, many of our people remain trapped in poverty. The Child Support Grant has proven to be an effective tool in reducing child poverty. The World Bank, in a report, The State of Social Safety Nets 2014, ranks the Child Support Grant amongst the top 5 programs across the world and almost the largest safety net on the African continent. In fact, South Africa performed very well when compared with other middle-income countries. Therefore, it is not a coincidence that government of Thailand has introduced an unconditional grant which was modeled on South Africa's child support grant. Clearly, our good story is influencing other countries. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important to note that one of our commitments in this House last year was to improve the slow uptake of the child support grant among children of the 0 to 1 year age cohort. I also outlined our plans to reach this group as part of our government's objective to maximize interventions to children within the first 1,000 days. I am pleased that SASSA has responded with great sense of urgency to this call. In the past year alone, more than 140,000 children aged 0 to 1 were registered as grant beneficiaries. Research has shown that there is a link between the income of a family and a child's ability to stay in school. To this end, we intend to increase the value of the child support grant for orphans and children in child and youth-headed households. The proposed increase will support children to remain with their siblings in the family home and within their communities. The child support grant is a huge investment in human capital development, and to this extent, we need to ensure that it is not terminated when the child turns 18. To this end, we intend to work with families to save a portion of the child support grant every month to be available when the child turns 18. Similarly, we have made notable strides in increasing the uptake of the older persons grant by, amongst others, increasing the means test threshold to ensure that more elderly people benefit from the grant. The increase in the means test threshold brought in 82,000 new recipients of the older persons grant in November 2014. Our 2014 elections manifesto makes it very clear that we must expand social security to those who are eligible. The welfare of our older persons is both a moral and a constitutional obligation of our government. I therefore take this opportunity to reiterate our commitment to the universalization of the older persons grant as pronounced by the former Minister of Finance, Pravin Gordhan, in his 2013 budget speech and by the President of the Republic of South Africa. In line with the objective of improving the social security system, I announced last year in my budget vote speech that we have established a ministerial advisory committee on the future payment model for social assistance benefits. The committee recommends the institutionalization of the payment system in SASSA. This will require investment in technology that will support an end-to-end process. The committee further recommended that social grants be leveraged to support local economic development. Following the announcement by the Minister of Finance in February 2015, the Department of Social Development, Department of Labor, and the National Treasury are close to finalizing the revised discussion paper on comprehensive social security reforms. We will request Cabinet approval for the release of this paper in July this year. Honorable members, in line with resolutions of the ANC's elective conference in Mangaung that declared ECD as a public good, Cabinet approved the publication of the draft ECD policy for public comments. Once finalized, the policy will make it possible for us to provide a comprehensive package of services for children with special needs, children with disabilities, and other developmental needs. Cabinet has also approved the establishment of the Inter-Ministerial Committee on ECD to coordinate and align government's work. Universal access to ECD services by all children remains uppermost in our minds, and the department will continue to promote the establishment of non-center-based ECD services to children in poor communities, rural areas, informal settlements, farming areas, as well as children with disabilities. Non-center-based ECD services, such as mobile ECD and toy library programs, are already rolled out in the provinces. Similarly, efforts are being made to ensure that ECD infrastructure is adaptable to the needs of children with disabilities. No child must be left behind. The Adopt an ECD campaign has supported 164 ECD sites to ensure compliance with the norms and standards for funding. Through this campaign, the NDA has mobilized a total of more than 20 million from the private sector, donors, and individuals to increase resource flows to the ECD sector. Child Protection Week remains the centerpiece of our efforts to make communities aware of their responsibilities towards the protection and care of children, as well as the basket of services provided to children for their emotional, cognitive, physical development. We want to call on all South Africans to join us as we celebrate and launch Child Protection Week in Kokstad, KwaZulu-Natal. Once again, the theme, as in the past 5 years, is working together to protect children. Chairperson, in October 2014, I appointed a ministerial committee for a period of 18 months to undertake an assessment on the status of the foster care system throughout the country. The goal is to ensure that no child is excluded as a result of administrative processes. Kodwa futhi besibona abantwana bethu abashonayo abancane bekuwabantwana isikhathi esiningi abangaphansi kwe-foster care grant, and siyazi ukuthi kunenkinga yokuthi ama-social worker awekho, so sathi ithi sifake umfutho khona sizokwazi ukuthi sincedise abantwana. The committee will advise me on measures that need to be put in place to improve the quality of foster care services. Our work on victim empowerment services has grown phenomenally, and the Command Center on Gender-Based Violence in Pretoria has fully fledged call center with a GPS mapping capability. The GPS facility enables call center staff to geolocate the origin of the calls made by affected individuals. The Command Center has a fully functional referral mechanism linked to the South African Police Service. Okunye-ke sesithole imklomelo embili ngokuthi sibe creative. Okunye ukuthi ngoJune sikhethiwe nezinye nabanye ohulumeni neinhlangano ezisebenzisa uhlelo olucishe libe nje, sikhethwe eLondon, eUnited Kingdom. And i-Command Center ibheke abantu abangaphezulu kuka 3,500. And ama-call ayehlukana, abanye kuba ukudlwengulwa, abanye kunukubezwa kwabantwana nabantu besifazane.
On a point of order, Chairperson.
Physical assault.
On a point of order,
Honorable
Chairperson.
Minister, Honorable Law,
Chairperson, there's no translation on these things, and we would like to hear. Can
Okay.
you please rule on that?
okay, I'll make sure they succeed.
There is no interpretation?
Yeah.
Or let me speak.
There's no interpretation, that's what was said, and they are just going to fix it up. Order, honorable members, continue, honorable minister.
The social work veterans working in the call center provided much needed psychosocial support and counseling. Siyaqhuba. We provide our services in a dynamic environment, which requires that we constantly adapt our policies to the challenges posed by the ever-changing needs of the communities we serve. In this respect, the Ministerial Committee on the review of the white paper on social welfare, led by Professor Vivian Taylor, has concluded its provincial consultations and will present its preliminary findings on the department before the end of this month. The provision of comprehensive social welfare services, as envisaged in the NDP, can only be realized through the efforts of a well-trained, motivated, and professional cadre of social workers. It was this in mind that department hosted a social work indaba 2 months ago under the theme Revitalizing Social Work Practice in South Africa. The indaba adopted a declaration that will fundamentally change the social work environment. It was resolved that we will develop and implement resource policy aligned with the service delivery model for the provision of appropriate social infrastructure for social workers to render effective social work services and standardized package of tools of trade. In order to further strengthen our social work theory and practice and share important policy lessons and experiences, we have entered into a partnership with Howard University in Washington, D.C. Howard University was among the first universities in 1994 to award an honorary doctorate to the late President Nelson Mandela. This university has worked with communities that face social and economic challenges that are similar to the many social ills and challenges affecting our own communities. Furthermore, it has extensive research and programs at community level experience in areas such as drugs and substance abuse, early childhood development, non-center-based programs, and parenting training and development. We need to recognize and appreciate the sterling work done by our social workers under trying circumstances. It was our selfless and dedicated social workers who held the country together and restored hope during the country's moment of despair when we lost 89 compatriots in Nigeria. As part of our transformation agenda to accelerate service delivery and increase our footprint, we continue to implement Project Mikonzo. Since 2013, our officials have visited more than 900 wards with high incidence of poverty and unemployment. This project has exposed many of our officials to the realities on the ground. It has shown us the difficulties that social workers face in rural areas and sparsely populated areas in providing services. We remain more determined than ever to continue with this project, which has given us first-hand experience of the hardships that our people face on a daily basis. I vividly remember the young boy I met in Bulwa, KwaZulu-Natal, who refused to go to school because of lack of food and that his family could not afford school uniform. He felt ashamed that he did not look like other learners in his class and school. This story, like many others that we witnessed throughout the country, has strengthened our resolve to forge ahead with the implementation of Project Mikonzo and improving the living conditions of our people. Food security in our country has been compromised due to unemployment and rising food costs. In response,
You have 1
The
minute,
department-
Minister, round up.
Okay.
I'm coming back, I have more time. Chairperson, I would like to take this opportunity and thank Deputy Minister Ms. Bukopane Zulu and all MECs for their enduring support and outstanding contribution. I would also like to thank Xoxeko Phakade, the former Director General, as well as the Acting Director General, Mr. Thokozani Magwaza, Special Advisors, Mr. Siposhezi and Zain Tango,
Thank
CEO
you.
of SASA, Ms. Virginia Peterson,
Thank-
CEO of NDA,
Thank you,
Vuyelwa
Honorable
Nhlapo,
Member.
and Chairperson and members of the NDA Board, and
Thank
all
you.
members of the
Honorable
DSD family.
Minister, thank you. Your time has expired.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. We now call on the Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Social Development, Honorable Kapa. Honorable Kapa, before you speak, let me just put some house rules. Members of the public in our gallery, your presence here is highly appreciated and we welcome you very much. However, for the decorum of this house to be upheld, please, you are not allowed to participate in any way in the debate. That includes clapping of hands, using of cameras. I've seen some flashes. Please, let's refrain from doing that. You are not allowed. Thank you very much. Continue, Honorable Kapa.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, Honorable Ministers and Deputy Ministers, Honorable Chairpersons of Social Cluster, Honorable Members of the House, greetings to our very important guests up in the gallery and in all corners of our country. Chairperson, allow me to remind this House that the situational challenges faced by this country, which form a contextual background of this budget. These include increase in social crime, murder of children and women, xenophobic attacks, and social instability in our neighboring countries. The impact of these incidences are felt at a family level. Hence, we have seen an increase in orphans and vulnerable children and family instability. The Department of Social Development has therefore an obligation to intervene and to bring back stability in those families and any other affected areas. I would therefore plead with the House that all political parties please support this budget vote. It is not about the ANC, but it is all about the vulnerable persons in our country. It is only when social development is effective that we will achieve democracy, peace, and stability in a prosperous society. Those who will not be in support of the budget vote will be those who are not interested in our country achieving social cohesion and protection. The debate today is
Order, honorable members. Continue.
The debate today is very important as it touches on the lives of the marginalized and destitute communities of our country. Their hopes and well-being depend on the
Chairperson,
support
point of order.
that the House will put behind this
Honorable
budget vote.
Chairperson, please wait.
I must state
Honorable
upfront,
Kapa, just hold it. Honorable Meklo.
Chairperson, will the honourable member take a question?
Honorable members, please. Honorable
easy.
Kapa, will you take the question?
Very easy question, Chair.
After now,
Okay.
Honorable Chair.
Not now, Honorable.
I must
Meklo.
state upfront that the ANC support this budget vote. The ANC has full confidence that this budget vote addresses the needs of our poor people, which is the priority of the NDP. The key priorities of this budget vote are aligned and are supposed to address the triple challenges that are poverty, unemployment, inequality, which exist. In addition, I am pleased to inform this House that after having considered and deliberated on the department APPs and strategic plan as a committee, we can proudly say that the department's strategic objectives and budget allocation are aligned to the government commitment of implementing the NDP as well as transformation. The NDP priorities has led to the department setting specific targets and programs which it aims to achieve to implement these priorities. It is the responsibility of the committee, therefore, to actually set its strategy to do the oversight, which we have agreed on how it is going to take place, because we have been fully informed as to what these strategic projects are that will be implemented, including specific programs. The oversight process that we engaged in enabled the ANC to have a proper and effective oversight over the delivery services to the poor. Effective service delivery will only be achieved if the department has a strong monitoring and evaluating tool. These tools are important to measure the department state of readiness to implement its target and ensure that they achieve the desired results. That is the improvement of the quality of life of all South Africans. Most importantly, the department has an obligation to implement the ANC's drive of a transformation agenda. It will be difficult to achieve all these if the department does not, Honorable Minister, address particularly what we have already raised, the shortage of social work practitioners. However, the Human Resource Development Plan of your department, Honorable Minister, assures this House that the cry for more social workers will be addressed as it is the key priority for the new Human Resource Development Plan. The professional way of handling social issues of our communities is of great importance of the department, as it has a responsibility of ensuring social cohesion. The department demonstrated this when it provided professional service to the people of Marikana in the aftermath of the tragedy they experienced, and also during the South African-Nigerian tragedy, as well as when incidences of xenophobic attacks that occurred. I need also to commend the department's speed in responding to such challenges. Honorable Minister, your leadership indeed excelled in these unfortunate events. You were personally hands-on. The migration labor system practiced by the erstwhile apartheid regime created a society where our people have dual residence. After their homes, they come from their homes in another province to go and be a migrant labor in another province. To substantiate this notion, honorable members, chairperson, the department's intervention in the aftermath of Marikana tragedy had to be twofold: addressing the needs of the families, both in Marikana in Northwest, as well as their provinces of origin, which is Eastern Cape. Also, the issue arose when the same tragedy that happened in Nigeria affecting South Africans, because other family members were residing in Gauteng while they had their homes in the Eastern Cape. So the department had to provide psychosocial management in these two families and counseling, and that work is still in progress, and we applaud the department having achieved that. It is important also to also add some explanation of some key rationales behind specific funded programs as key to the ANC manifesto, which called for an effective integrated social protection, which is actually going to identify every South African need and also assist them. However, I do want to expand and articulate some issues with that regard, because it has to do with a lot with the society that we live in our beloved South Africa. Point number one will be social security, which draws on Section 27 of the Constitution to address specifically income dimensions of poverty and contribute to ensuring a standard of living below which no one falls. This is very important because, honorable members, it will actually promote the equality that we all desire to have. Measures to address capability poverty, support to early childhood development and investment in children, labor market activation policies, and measures that foster productive inclusion of the under and unemployed people. Because if we ignore such dynamics in our country, one, that some are employed but are underemployed, some are totally unemployed. So this social cohesion will promote equality amongst our communities, where we will have a prosperous society, the democracy we all desire, as much as peace and stability. We also have the protective measures for nutritional and food security. It is indeed, Honorable Minister, it's really touching when others have a choice of food and a meal they want to have at any given time. However, there are those who eat what is available and have no choices. It is becoming clearer and clearer in our daily life where we stay and live. So far, developmental social service interventions to address economic and social exclusion that I've already mentioned and strengthen social cohesion. Ndiyafuna kuyibethelela le nto ithi okukungalingani akusenzi sihlale ngokonwaba abalungelweyo nabangalungelwanga kuba bakhona abanelungelo lokukhetha ukuba bazawulala betye ntoni kodwa bakhona abatya lonto inofumaneka kuba bengenaso indlela yokuthenga lonto bayithandayo. Yiyo ke lento sithi thina siyabonisana nawo onke amalungu eParlamente into kokubana noko nokuba iyanhlukano zethu zikangakanani masike silixhase eli iphulo lijongene nabantu abahluphekileyo abathi bona bajonge ngamehlo abomvu kwenzela into kokuba namhlanje xa le budget okanye oluhlahlo lwabiwo mali luthi wathaca malube nazo ezo zinto zibonisa ukuba nabo namhlanje bakukwazi ukukhetha. Ndizothetha ke ngokukodwa kule nto ine social protection ndisenzela into kokuba ndicacise gca ukuba apha eMzantsi Afrika kuxa i-social protection, that the safety net of the society can be achieved. Kuxa ke ngoku bonke abantu benikiwe ezi zinto ngokokuhlupheka kwakhe, each one according to their need. Ayibiza ke umphathiswa nge-universalization of all the grants. Kungabikho abafumanayo nabangafumaniyo. Noko kufumana kufunyanwe ngokokuhlupheka onako nemfuneko onazo. Hayi into kokuba kuthiwe nje siyalingana sonke. Asiyonyani into kokuba siyalingana. Futhi mde umgama oza kuhanjwa ukuze sifikelele kwelo nqanaba. The transformation process that ensures that the department reaches to the poor people and meet their needs so as to ensure that they enjoy social protection is demonstrated in their commitment to implement the following. Please me give an opportunity, honorable members. Ukuke ndiyidaka le nto. The National Integrated Social Protection System, the Complaints Management System, kuba khona lento yokuba izikhalazo azihoywa, izikhalazo kanti azifiki, zingene mnyangweni wumbi. Kuthiwa ke ngoku le agente ibizwa ngokuba ngusasa iza kuthi yona ithathe amanyathelo okuqinisekisa into yoba iyakhangelwa gabalala xa uthe waphakamisa isikhalazo. The agencies ezingosasa National Development Agency ziqhuba kakuhle. Makhe simqhwabele izandla yena lo kuthiwa ngu-NDA kuba ukwazile ukuthi enikwe le madlana wakwazi ukuba afumane ikhulu
1 minute left.
100 million rands to add to what out of fundraising. Yile ke lonto ndithi le idakatywe phambi kwethu ndiyanimema malunga la komiti, ndiyayimema yonke imibutho, masithi bhu emva kwale nkqubo. Yiyo yodwa eyawuzisa uxolo olusilulangazelela sonke. Kodwa kuba kho bangayaziyo lonto, abangayihambi ikomiti, mabangezuthetha apha bemisa inkqubo eyiyo. Ndiyabulela kakhulu. Basafika nofika sihla.
Siyabulela Mam Kapa. Kulesikhathi. Thank you. Order, honorable members. I now allow Honorable Kopani to continue with the debate.
Honorable Chairperson, it is clear to all who wish to see that the Department of Social Development, it is in a sorry state. The social assistance program for the vulnerable in South Africa remains the highest or the largest within the African continent and the second largest in the South African hemisphere. Honorable Minister, the reality is the low economic growth of our country necessitated this level of social intervention. The DA believe that the vulnerable members of our society must be protected, but we should also focus on growing the economy to create more jobs so that our own people can have a dignity of being able to look after themselves. Research has shown that most of South African people would prefer to be employed with the related financial economy than to depend on the social grants. Honorable Chairperson, replies to the DA questions have merely scratched the surface on the extent to which the department is falling apart. One reply shows how SASSA paid 306 million over and above 10 billion tender to Cash Payment Master Service for the re-registration of beneficiaries and the administration of the social grant. The extra money paid also worked out to 17 rands increase to register and administer each beneficiary from 11 rand in the initial contract. Why did the cost suddenly increase? That is a good question to ask. Why could the original contract not include all registration of beneficiaries and no approval from the Treasury was given for this massive irregular spending? SASSA's long history of financial mismanagement clearly demonstrated the need for robust oversight to ensure the integrity, accountability of this important body. It is clear that this has not been done. In the last financial year, both the Auditor General and the Public Protector investigated serious allegations of maladministration, irregular procurement processes, and wasteful expenditure by SASSA. Minister terminated the SIU investigation into corruption by senior managers at SASSA and allowed SASSA to appoint a private company illegally to do the work that was supposed to be done by SIU. This is because the minister wanted a company that she could manipulate and turn the blind eye to corruption. The Treasury investigated the appointment of that company and gave the report to the minister 2014 last year. To date, minister, she has not acted on the report. The question is, why is the minister scared of taking action against the corruption of SASSA? If the minister is serious about fighting corruption at SASSA, why the Inspectorate for Social Assistance mandated to maintain the integrity of SASSA never being established? Another example of SASSA wastefulness is the fact that they just spent 11 million to a private company to protect individual officials and their families. I can talk about the rifles that they even buy and the pistol, and the list is long, and the petrol for that company. All this money is wasted while the unemployment rate in South Africa is stand at 36%. And the 66% of those unemployed people in South Africa. Last year during this budget vote, I did ask the question whether SASSA is a liability or is an asset to the department. But today, as I'm standing here, the answer remains the same. SASSA is a liability. Today, it is clear than ever before that the budget of SASSA will never benefit any of the poor or the vulnerable people of our country. The DA believe that the existence of that body, that should have helped to decrease the high level of social grant fraud and corruption facing SASSA. But it seems as if the minister is actively protecting the corrupt activity at the body responsible for providing assistance to the most vulnerable people of society. The department also appointed the private law firm to hand over the document that the public protector requested, which cost the taxpayers' money over 500,000 rand. According to the Attorney Act 56 of 1957, it clearly says that the department are entitled to the service of the state attorney and not entitled to outsource. Listen, honorable member, they are not entitled to outsource their legal work to private companies unless the office of the attorney or the state attorney has indicated that they don't have
Honorable
any
member.
capacity.
Thank
From this example,
Thank
it is
you,
abundantly
honorable
clear that
member.
the hundreds of millions, it doesn't
But,
benefit the South African people. And the Democratic Alliance will make sure that the money benefits the society. I thank you.
We have the documents if you don't have.
Ozoqhubekisa inkulumo ngumhlonishwa u-Honorable Ketabahle. Order, honorable members. Over to you, Honorable Ketabahle.
Honorable Chairperson, the Economic Freedom Fighters, the government in waiting, rejects this budget vote. We do so for the following fundamental reasons. The first one is that we do not trust this ministry and the department.
Order,
And we do
honorable
not
members. Order. Order, honorable members. Continue, ma'am.
We do not trust their capacity and integrity to implement government programs without political favor. It is the Department of Social Development that uses state resources for narrow political gains. It is the Department of Social Development that insults the capacity of our people to make informed choices by distributing food parcels just before elections. It is the Department of Social Development that distributed food parcels in Tlokwe just before the by-elections. It is the Department of Social Development under the leadership of Minister Dlamini, which handed out food parcels in Oudtshoorn and launched Project Mikonzo, a service delivery improvement initiative, 2 days before crucial by-elections.
Sorry, Honorable Ketabahle, just wait. Honorable members, I don't like the fingers that I see going on between these desks. I don't want to go deeper into it. Please refrain. Continue, ma'am.
Using resources of the Department of Social Development, the former mayor of the Mbombela municipality, Kathy Dlamini, dished out food parcels in Hazy View and told people to vote for the ANC in by-elections last year. The Department of Social Development also gave out food parcels and launched Project Mikonzo at the Nelson Mandela Bay municipality just before the general elections last year. The department has been shamelessly reduced into a tool for gaining votes by the ANC, giving people food just before the elections and only to forget them afterwards. Just recently, and in full view of the media, the Minister of Social
Order.
Development got so angry and physically scolded African nationals who were displaced by the xenophobic attacks in KwaZulu-Natal, simply because they accepted blankets donated by the Commander-in-Chief of the EFF. This makes it clear that this department under this minister has no interest in solving our people's social needs, but uses the resources it has at its disposal to play around with the real needs of the poor and destitute for narrow political gains. The mandate of this department is to provide appropriate social assistance to those who cannot help themselves,
Round
to
up.
provide appropriate care and protection to children, and for the provision of general welfare services to the country's population. The EFF is of the firm view that to fulfill this mandate, in each and every village, every township, every town, there must be a creche where our children are provided with quality early childhood development, with food and with necessary tools needed for stable
Thank
development.
you, Honorable
The
Member.
interventions of this
Order.
department should
Honourable
look
members.
at the most critical
Honourable
aspects needed in
Ketabahle.
early childhood to prepare our
Honourable
kids for stable
Ketabahle.
lives. And these are linking education on one
Honorable
hand
Ketabahle,
with the
your time has expired.
Nkosi Sihlalo. Asusu ngawabhuda amagama xa nisawula ningenambeko. Ukufika kwami ke kwa
Order,
social
honourable
development
member.
akufuni nini.
Order. Honorable members, I'm not sure whether it's from this house or it's from above.
Chair, and a point of order.
There's a lot of noise, honorable members. Please, let's not drown our speakers. We all order. I will address. All parties are represented in this debate. Let's allow them to air their views. Thank you. Let's not drown members as they speak from the podium. Thank you. Honorable member, sorry, Honorable van der Merwe.
I love my maiden name, Chair, but Van der Walt. Chair, is it parliamentary for the minister to twice show this to members? It is very unparliamentary and she should withdraw that.
On a point of order, Chair. Whoa.
Honorable member, may I respond before you speak? Please sit. Please sit. Honorable member who just raised. How am I supposed to respond, please? Honorable members. Honorable members, please, can you please allow me? Honorable members, let's not use gestures that are derogatory, that are unparliamentary. Because from where I am seated, I cannot see every gesture that is being made. That's why I said when I saw the fingers, please stop doing that. Honorable member, it is not parliamentary, but I cannot rule on it because I did not see it. Please stand immediately when it happens. Those who are, no, don't tell me how to run this. If you are going to make sure that you please respect this house, that is the ruling that I'm making. Respect this house from either seat. Make sure that there are no gestures that are unparliamentary or derogatory. And if that happens, immediately give it to the highlight. Honorable Dlamini, Mashigu Dlamini.
Honorable Chairperson, is it parliamentary for the latter speaker to say he's going to beat this member?
You see, honorable members, please, let's not regenerate. Please, let's not degenerate. Please, I'm asking you. And I want us to stop at that and allow the speakers on the speakers list to continue speaking. Oh, Honorable Zulu.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Chair. There's just one thing I wanted to correct. Quick point of order. The minister did not do this sign. When the when the member, when the member of the EFF moved from the podium.
Honorable-
Can I be
Honorable-
heard,
Point of
please?
order, Chairperson.
Honorable
On a
members.
point of order,
No,
Chairperson.
when the member,
Honorable
point of
members,
order, Chairperson.
please
Honorable
sit.
Chair,
Point of order.
Oh,
Honorable
no,
Chair,
no, no, no.
this one must be corrected.
No.
When she left the chair, I
On a
asked the
point of
minister
order.
because I can't see what was she doing, and the minister was explaining to me
Honorable-
what signs she was doing. So that is called
Honorable
integration,
members,
and I have the
please,
right to be integrated
Honorable-
in this house.
Honorable Bogopani Zulu, please respect the ruling that I made. I said we must refrain from doing that because I did not want those things of withdrawal and finding out. I want the budget vote to go on, and I plead with you. And the same as Honorable Mashego Dlamini, the same ruling comes in because really, let's not act like that. We have got members here in the gallery who have come to this house to listen to the debates on the budget vote and not our bickering. Please, let's continue and listen to what is important for this house to do, the work that we are here to do. I plead with you for future interruptions. Don't do that. Continue, Honorable van der Merwe, and sorry for taking
On a
your
point of order,
time.
Chairperson. On a point of-
Honorable Law,
Yes, on a point of order.
what are you rising on, Honorable Law? On what point of order, Honorable Law?
I hear your ruling, Honorable Chairperson. Now, I'm just going on this. You are saying you haven't seen. So how are you going to see throughout the House if we are raising a point of order and gestures are being made? In past rulings, people have, chairpersons have stand up and
Honorable
you
Law.
won't know because you are stupid. You won't know.
Honorable Law, I have stopped Honorable Bogopani. Please sit, please sit. I have stopped Honorable Bogopani for going on explanations. And I've made my ruling. I don't want to entertain that anymore. Thank you very much. Continue, Honorable van der Merwe.
Honorable Chair, on a point of order.
Chairperson.
On a
Chairperson.
point of order, Chair.
Honorable member.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Is it parliamentary to say that to other members they are stupid?
Who said that, Honorable member?
Law. Honorable Law. Is it parliamentary?
Honorable member, wait. Who said that, Honorable member?
Honorable Law.
Honorable Law. Okay. Honorable members, Honorable Law, I didn't hear it. That's why I asking who said it. Honorable members, you making noise. You cannot expect me to be an expert on what is being said down there. I can't hear everything, but now that it has been raised, I just want again, from now on, maybe you want me to say, stand up and withdraw. You are not young people. I think you have listened to what I was saying. Just refrain from doing that. And all the other, it's unparliamentary, Honorable Law, to do that. And please, ninga kombani. Thank you very much. Please, let's be quiet. Let's respect these people here. Let's respect our guests, please. Honorable van der Merwe, please continue with the debate.
Chairperson, before I start, I wanted to ask how would we know when our time is up, because you seem to be the only person that's got a clock.
Unfortunately, the venue that we are in doesn't have that. I also don't have it. I rely on the table staff to assist me. And what you have been seeing me doing since we started, I would say round up is 1 minute left. That's what they show me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, House Chairperson, the Minister of Social Development, members of Parliament. There is no doubt that Minister Dlamini and her team is a team at work. They have, year on year, managed to successfully extend the provision of social grants. And while the IFP strongly supports welfare assistance, we have since our inception been strong proponents of self-help and self-reliance. We contend, therefore, that without a much stronger emphasis on these principles, we are cultivating a welfare state which stands in stark contrast to the visions outlined by the National Development Plan, and which our shrinking economy and our stagnant tax base simply cannot sustain. Can we really celebrate the fact that in some provinces, 1 in 3 people are dependent on a grant alone? What happened to slogans like "a nation at work"? We simply cannot afford a situation where millions of our people, especially our youth, remain trapped in poverty and dependent on a government grant alone. Honourable Chairperson, gender-based violence remains a great cause for concern, but our haphazard approach to dealing with this crisis is also a worry. It is against this background that this department's command centre needs a closer look. The command centre, in the form of a 24-hour telephone hotline, was launched very close to the 2014 election. But how effective is the centre? How many women know of its existence? And if they do they have the means to access it? Moreover, the expenditure on consultancies associated with this centre is projected to grow to 16 million. This despite the fact that a similar toll-free helpline is already in existence, managed by the MPO Lifeline. Therefore, given the costs associated to the centre and the duplication of the service, the centre is perhaps better viewed as a cause for concern. Allow me also to highlight the following. Minister Dlamini has articulated her vision of 1 social worker per ward. To this end, her department has been granting bursaries to students from disadvantaged communities to study social work. Yet, due to budget constraints, the department cannot absorb all the social work graduates. The question must therefore be asked, what is Plan B? It must also be said that the rise in drug abuse, our response in the rise to drug abuse, has been wholly inadequate. The National Drug Authority is underfunded and seemingly also ill-equipped to rise to the challenge. Let me again state today that I believe that many people with disabilities remain on the fringes of our economy, marginalized and forgotten. And I contend that our response as a country to the many challenges faced by people with disabilities are lackluster at best. Honourable Chairperson, NGOs are finding it increasingly difficult to sustain their activities. They play a vital role in our society and they deliver vital services on behalf of our state in many instances. The IFP therefore appeals for more funding to the National Development Agency. Lastly, Minister, I must tell you that I often learn about your programs and events through social media, which is totally unacceptable. Your department should ensure that our portfolio committee is always informed of events and decisions that have significant public budget implications.
1 minute, Honourable Member.
Finally, Chairperson, with many by-elections routinely taking place and with an impending 2016 local government election, we are all too aware that whenever there are elections, this department suddenly becomes very generous in social outreach programs, where a variety of items like wheelbarrows, seeds, and spectacles are handed out. We do not oppose such initiatives, but they must never be politically driven. In conclusion, the IFP wishes to thank all those who so selflessly give of their time and personal resources to support and build our respective communities. My thanks also goes to the officials of this department and my colleagues on the Portfolio Committee. The IFP will support this budget.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. I'm now calling upon Honourable Deputy Minister.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson, Honourable Minister Batabile Dlamini, Honourable Members, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Before I proceed with my speech, there's something I need to correct, because I'm not going to be able to sleep if I don't correct it. It's very important that when we talk about disability and we talk about integration and we talk about inclusion, that we take a moment to understand what that means. When I'm sitting in this house, there's no secret that I don't see very well. And I want to stress it. I have the right to be included, and whoever sits next to me, I ask them what is happening, and they explain to me. And I guess as I sit in this house, I am an example of what inclusive education, that each and every member aspires a disabled child, that when you take the podium, you talk about it. And that is what will happen in the class. Now, can you imagine for that non-disabled child who will be assisting the disabled child to be punished every day? And that is what you just did. Allow me, Honorable Chairperson, to say that social development needs to become everybody's business if we are to succeed in our collective goal of improving the lives of individual families and communities. This requires that we embrace our communities as part of the solution, as we are doing through Project Mikonzo. South Africa has been making steady progress in building a South Africa that belongs to all who live in it. As we continue on the path of realizing our shared vision, we need to heed the call in the National Development Plan to create opportunities for every citizen and resident to work as part of the collective in building our future. Chairperson, allow me to report back on progress made over the past year and share some highlights of our programs for the year ahead. Steady progress has been made in integrating the National Disability Rights Coordinating Function transferred to the department in May 2014 within our operations. A new organizational structure for the department, Disability Rights Coordinating, Monitoring, Reporting, and Service Delivery Focus will be finalized during the current financial year. This will strengthen the department's capacity to provide leadership to the National Disability Rights Agenda. The National Disability Rights Policy will be submitted to Cabinet for final approval in July 2015. We wish to express our sincere appreciation to the public comments received on the draft released in December 2014. We will, during this financial year, focus on the development of developing the implementation tools for the policy. This will include, amongst others, the Disability Inequality Index, Disability Rights Information and Services Portal, a sustainable multi-party and branded disability rights awareness campaign. The development of the policy and its tools has been greatly enhanced through the generous support we have and continue to receive from the United Nations Partnership to Promote the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Multi-Party Fund. We will strengthen and expand social assistance and disability-specific welfare services in partnership with our provincial departments and NGOs. Particular attention will be paid to the following in this financial year. We will accelerate the restructuring of the funding model for disability welfare services delivered by NGOs on behalf of government. Continue our work to strengthen and expand the range of community-based disability welfare services and accelerate disability mainstreaming across all social development programs. Once again, we need to express appreciation to JICA for their continued support in accelerating disability mainstreaming within the social development sector. Let me also thank the members of the Ministerial Committee who over the past year have advised the Ministry on priorities for disability mainstreaming in the department's program. Chairperson, honorable members, we call on the members of this August House and communities to support the Albinism Society of South Africa in ensuring that the first International Albinism Awareness Day on June 13 is a resounding success. Citizens and residents of South Africa with albinism need our individual and collective support to ensure that they are and feel safe, that derogatory name-calling and hate speech stops, that they access appropriate health services to protect them against diseases and disabilities caused by overexposure to the sun, that they access education and employment opportunities, and that they enjoy the same rights that we all enjoy. Honorable members, Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa, during the 2014 presidency budget vote, expressed concerns at the resurgence in HIV infections and diminishing awareness of prevention messages. We are moving from a generalized epidemic to an epidemic where we target interventions to high-risk groups. Where prevalence is on the increase, These groups include, but are not limited to, amongst others, young women, farm workers, sex workers, the LGBTI sector, and those that find themselves using intravenous drugs. We will this year strengthen implementation of our comprehensive strategy on HIV and AIDS, which seeks to reduce HIV risky behavior and promote psychosocial well-being amongst these targeted key populations. We will in 2015-16 sustain our previous targets of training community caregivers, community-based organizations, social behavior change implementers, and community capacity enhancement facilitators. We will finalize the draft policy guidelines for the utilization of community-based workers within the social development sector, while strengthening our psychosocial support services to orphaned and vulnerable children and other targeted groups made vulnerable by HIV. Chairperson, fighting the scourge of gender-based violence requires a multi-pronged approach with participants of all sectors of society, all social partners, as noted by Minister Dlamini earlier. We will continue to rally communities as active change agents through the White Door Centers of Hope program, which places communities at the center of finding solutions to the stigma associated with gender-based violence and breaking the silence. We will elevate the following campaigns, which is the Kimoja program that ensures that young people are fine without drugs. The Remember My Name campaign to give tribute and remember those we've lost due to gender-based violence. The Zazi that strengthens young women. The Brothers for Life to elevate the responsibilities men have to protecting women. And Rise Clubs that gives young women state security. The energy focused on commitment of our partner organizations in these campaigns provide hope and vehicle to build a South Africa free of gender-based violence and discrimination. Honorable members, the creation of a society which protects children, women, and other vulnerable groups is threatened by the scourge of alcohol abuse and substance abuse. The incidence of fetal alcohol syndrome remains unacceptably high, and we will prioritize this aspect in the first 1,000 days program in partnering with our social partners.
You have 2 minutes, Deputy Minister.
The past few years have seen a steep increase in the demand for residential treatment facilities. There are currently 7 public treatment centers in the country. We will establish 6 additional public treatment centers during this MTF to ensure that every province has a treatment center. We will strengthen the Central Drug Authority to enable it to effectively implement its mandate. Preparations for the 3rd biannual Anti-Substance Abuse Summit, which will also be a platform to review the National Drug Master Plan, is in full swing. We'll furthermore strengthen the implementation of the provincial drug, we will further strengthen the local drug action committees, its functioning, as well as the support the provinces provide. Honorable members, we have a global village where our work is influenced by what happens outside our borders. The Ministry of Social Development is chairing the Specialized Technical Committee for the African Union Commission. And amongst in our tenure for the past 2 years, for the coming 2 years, we will ensure the establishment of the African Center for Disease Control, the development of a common Africa position for the UN General Assembly, as well as ensure that a monitoring, accountability, and reporting mechanism on the Addis Ababa Declaration on Population is also finalized. Chairperson, allow me to express my sincere thanks and appreciation to Minister Bathabile Dlamini for the leadership, the leadership that she provides and the sisterhood that one enjoys to enable one to do the work. Allow me to acknowledge my father, who is present in the gallery and celebrating 52 years of selfless service to being a member of the African National Congress. Thank you, Dad, for introducing me to this august movement. Allow me to acknowledge the contribution made by MTN Foundation, Airports Company South Africa, for the work they enable us to do.
Your time has expired.
My team in the office, the department, and all the social partners. I thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. I'm now calling upon Honorable Wilson. Okay, it's written here, okay.
Agbare voorsitter, agbare minister, agbare lede. Dit is inderdaad vandag 'n voorreg vir my om deel te kan neem aan die begrotingsdebat van die Departement van Sosiale Ontwikkeling. Nadat maatskaplike toelaas uitbetaal is, bly slegs 5% van hierdie departement se begroting oor. Hoe hierdie 5% dispandeer word, is van uiterste belang. Dit is van uiterste belang nie net omdat dit min geld is nie, maar as gevolg van die aard van die sosiale probleme wat duisende Suid-Afrikaners elke dag in die gesig staar. Probleme wat nie net toepaslike wetgewing en beleid noodsaak nie, maar ook toepaslike vaardighede. Ek wil daarom van hierdie geleentheid gebruik maak vandag om vir al die maatskaplike werkers te sê baie dankie vir die enorme bydrae wat hulle maak, veral vir daardie maatskaplike werkers wat werk in nie-regeringsorganisasies. U is ons vernoot en sonder u is dit nie moontlik om die missie, visie en doelwitte van hierdie departement te bereik nie. In 1997, the White Paper on Social Welfare noted that in the past, social welfare was not considered important. As a result, the salaries and the working conditions of social workers were poor. Honourable Chairperson, I want to put it to you that 20 years along the line, not much has changed, not for social workers working in the NPO sector. This was noted in 2006 in the Recruitment and Retention Strategy for Social Workers developed then by the department, and again at the recent Social Worker Indaba held in Durban. The salaries and the working conditions for social workers remain poor in non-governmental organizations or NPOs because DSD does not fully subsidize these NPOs. Nou dit het verskeie praktiese implikasies. Die belangrikste daarvan sekerlik dat baie minder maatskaplike werkers werk in nie-regeringsorganisasies as in die staat. So byvoorbeeld in KwaZulu-Natal is daar 3225 maatskaplike werkers wat werk vir die staat, maar net 645 wat werk vir nie-regeringsorganisasies. In die Oos-Kaap is daar 2038 maatskaplike werkers wat werk vir die staat, maar net 408 wat werk in nie-regeringsorganisasies. En die patroon is soortgelyk oor al die provinsies. Die probleem hiervan is dat baie landelike persone baie dikwels 'n kwaliteit diens ontneem word en dat dienste van plek tot plek verskil. Ten einde hierdie probleem aan te spreek, het die Wes-Kaapse regering in die begin van die jaar besluit om maatskaplike werkers se salarisse in nie-regeringsorganisasies wat befonds word deur die Wes-Kaap aan te pas. Dit is aangepas met 22% vir bestuurders, maatskaplike werkbestuurders, 40% vir supervisors en 40% vir algemene maatskaplike werkers. Ek wil vandag 'n ernstige beroep op die minister doen om die voorbeeld van die Wes-Kaap te volg, dat ons dit kan moontlik maak reg oor die land. Agbare voorsitter, ek wil dit aan u voorhou, dat indien ons nie die voorbeeld van die Wes-Kaap gaan volg nie, ons nie die volle waarde van die 276 miljoen wat hierdie departement aan maatskaplike werker beurse spandeer, sal kan sien nie. Ons sal dit nie kan sien nie, omdat studente voortydig die professie verlaat, bloot eenvoudig omdat maatskaplike werk nie lonend genoeg is nie. Agbare voorsitter, ek wil dit aan u voorhou, dat ons ook elke jaar meer en meer geld gaan spandeer aan die Nasionale Ontwikkelingsagentskap, wat moet vergoed vir die vaardigheidstekort in die regeringsorganisasies. Dit is ook heel moontlik, agbare voorsitter, dat indien ons nie die voorbeeld van die Wes-Kaap gaan volg nie, ons nie eers die geld wat ons toeken aan die regeringsorganisasies vir hulle sal kan gee, of dat hulle dit effektief sal kan spandeer nie, omdat hierdie organisasies nie oor die vermoë verskik om te voldoen aan die vereistes wat die wet daarstel vir nie regeringsorganisasies. Ten einde die sosiale probleme die hoof te bied wat duisende Suid-Afrikaners elke dag in die gesig staar, is dit van kardinale belang dat ons vaardighede
Honourable
koester.
member, I'm afraid your time has
En
expired.
daarom dat ons maatskaplike werkers billik en regverdig vergoed oor die spektrum.
Thank you very much, Honourable member. I'm calling upon Honourable Mabilo.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Minister Batabile Dlamini, Honorable Deputy Minister Bokopani Zulu, Honorable Ministers and Deputy Ministers present here, Honorable Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Social Development, Mayor Kappa, Honorable members, distinguished guests in the gallery, Ke a leboga. Our journey to create a caring society for our children is encouraged by the words of our very own Istalandwe, Saparamankwe, our late icon, President Nelson Mandela, when he said, I quote, "There can be no keener revelation of a society than the way in which it treats its children," close quote. Honorable Chairperson, the strategy and tactic document of the African National Congress, December 2012, states that the following on social issues, of which early childhood development is part thereof. I quote, "The ANC therefore seeks to build democracy with social content informed by our very own concrete conditions and experience. This will, in some respects, reflect some elements of the best traditions of social democracy, which include a system which places the needs of the poor and social issues such as healthcare, education, and social safety net at the top of the national agenda," close quote. Honorable Chair, the African National Congress, at its Polokwane conference, resolved to develop a comprehensive strategy on early childhood development, which was developed and is critical to improving the quality of teaching and learning in the entire schooling system. We regard as the ANC ECD as an imperative. At the Mangaung conference, the ANC further resolved to develop mechanisms at the ECD level in order to be able to detect the needs and challenges of a child at an early age. The ANC-led government recognizes ECD as a fundamental and universal human right to which all young children are equally entitled without any discrimination. ECD is a national priority program under Outcome 1. Quality education as government has supported the principles of investment in children. The National Development Plan, the NDP, state that action is needed to improve early childhood development services in this country. At the core of the National Development Plan is a focus on capabilities of people and of the country. ECD has been identified as critical for the development of people's capabilities to ensure better performance in formal schooling, which will later result in improved level of employment. The ECD program provides services related to care and early stimulation to children in the temporary absence of their parents or adult caregivers. These services should be holistic and demonstrate the appreciation of the importance of considering the child's health, nutrition, early stimulation, cognitive development, psychosocial, and other needs within the context of the family and the community. Providing ECD services to children contributes immensely to the development of self-esteem and ensuring that children meet their developmental milestones. It is also a means of enabling them to be better prepared for formal schooling. The South African Integrated Program of Action for ECD, called Moving Ahead 2013-2016, approved by the Cabinet in 2013, provides for the development of ECD policy. The development of the draft ECD policy is addressing the identified needs for ECD and is aimed at transforming ECD service delivery in the country, in particular to address critical gaps and to ensure the provision of and universal access to comprehensive ECD services. This policy has been developed through extensive consultation processes with stakeholders in the ECD center, government sector, government and non-government organizations. Consultation with provincial departments were completed by the 25 August 2014. The vision of the draft ECD policy is that all infants and young children and their families in South Africa live in an environment that is conducive to their optimal development. The mission of the draft ECD policy is to provide a framework for government accountability for the effective translation of this vision into reality through the public provision of comprehensive package of quality ECD services that would be universally available in sufficient quantities and proximity so that all children enjoy an equal opportunity and have access. The draft ECD policy addresses matters such as the provision of essential package of services to be attained in the short term to medium term, and a comprehensive package of services to be obtained in the long term 2030. Furthermore, the draft ECD policy introduces a number of new services to fill gaps identified in the range of services currently available within the first 1,000 days of a child's life, such as home visit to pregnant mothers by community health workers, pre-registration of income-eligible pregnant mothers to have access to child support grant, pre-grade, etc. The pillars which support the policy has been agreed upon by the different departments and include the following. 1, ECD as a public good. The government's recognition of ECD as a universal right and that ECD lays the foundation for the attainment of broader social benefits requires the public provision of ECD services by government for all eligible young children in South Africa. 2, universal access. The government is committed to the attainment of universal access to ECD for all children in the country. Honorable Chair, the MTF builds on the significant achievement recorded in the first 2 decades of democracy. One of the key targets that the MTF seeks to achieve is that by 2024, an essential age and development stage appropriate package of quality ECD services should be available and accessible to all children and the caregivers. Improving the provisioning of ECD for children from the age of 0 to 4 is part and parcel of what the ANC government is working hard on. A number of performance targets have been directed at strengthening the ECD services, and as the ANC, we applaud the minister and her team for spending almost 80.3 million budget for this program. The target of the department is to increase the number of children accessing ECD by 10% from its current 129,955 baseline. In 2014-2015, the ECD policy was finalized, and the intention is to approve the policy and the comprehensive ECD program during the current financial year. Furthermore, as the ANC Honorable Chair, we want to thank the Minister for the ECD infrastructure audit that was completed. With that understanding and empirical evidence, as government, we are able to respond to the challenges of infrastructure pertaining to the ECD. Secondly, Honorable Chair, we want to thank the Minister in terms of the ECD sector serving as an empowerment of women. Because besides playing a critical role in the foundation of human development, ECD centers in this country form part of women empowerment program as they afford women the opportunity to be empowered through employment and the provision of services and entrepreneurs. Furthermore, Honorable Chair, we want to thank the Minister in the fight against starvation and hunger, because at the provisioning of ECD centers, they contribute positively to fighting hunger and starvation because children attending ECD centers get 3 meals a day, which responds to the ANC's program of solving hunger and starvation. The Freedom Charter states the following: all shall enjoy human rights. The law shall guarantee to all their right to speak, to organize, to meet together, to publish, to preach, to worship, but the emphasis is to educate their children. The doors of learning shall be open. Education shall be free, compulsory, universal, and equal for all ECD, for children. Honorable Chair, as I am about to conclude, as the ANC, we reaffirm that spending on ECD is an investment, not a cost. It is about the future progress that is being made every year on early childhood development. It must be consolidated and nurtured. Further today, sufficient investment in this aspect of our society secures our children's future. Now, Honorable Chair, with the limited time that I have, I want to react to some of the members of the opposition, especially Honorable Kopano. I think she will do herself a favor if she can continue to be consistent in attending portfolio committee meetings, because she is completely off the tangent. She's completely lost because what she's articulating has no veracity in that. Secondly, our issue on corruption, I think the minister has been consistent and the team that SASSA is our flagship. It's our flagship program that addresses poverty. So we don't agree, the poor of this country will never agree to say that we have lost completely in the provisioning of fighting poverty.
Honorable Member.
And we are proud as the ANC that this department continue to spend its budget almost 90%.
Thank you, Honorable Member.
Thank you very much. As the African National Congress, we proudly support the budget vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I'm now calling upon Honorable Carter.
Thank you, Chairperson. Since the National Development Plan was adopted, it has not been driven as it should have been or as COPE would have liked it to be. The NDP prioritizes 5 functions of social protection, namely protective measures to save lives and reduce levels of deprivation. Chairperson, can we please ask for protection so that we can speak? Preventative
You are
measures.
protected, Honorable Member.
Preventative measures which help people avoid falling deeper into poverty and reduce their vulnerability. Promotive measures which enhance the capabilities of individuals, communities, and institutions. Transformative measures which tackle inequities through changes in policies, laws, and budgets. And developmental and generative measures which increases the poor's consumption, promoting local economic development. That is from the NDP, for those that did not know. Is the NDP being implemented? Is it being fully implemented? The overall purpose of social protection, according to the UNO Commission for Social Protection, noted the following in a report in 2000. The ultimate purpose of social protection is to increase capabilities and opportunities and thereby human development. It goes on to say that social protection should not simply be seen as a residual policy function of assuring the welfare of the poorest, but as a foundation at a societal level for promoting social justice and social cohesion, developing capabilities and promoting economic dynamism and creativity. COPE contends that the department is failing dismally in this regard. It is sad that the government declares our country as a developmental state, but fails to develop the poor and the marginalized. Is this a good story to tell? It is perhaps doing so deliberately to use the poor as voting fodder.
1 minute left.
At election time, voters are threatened about losing their grants if they voted for any party but the ruling party. At election time, the department dishes out food parcels. That food lasts for a half a day. It keeps the poor in a state of poverty by creating a dependency. To round off, don't disappoint the poor and marginalized people of our country by creating a dependency without opportunity. Honourable Minister, I'm requesting you and the committee to study the NDP and then implement it. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Honorable Member. I'm now calling upon Honorable Swart.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, the ACDP wishes to thank and commend those many thousands of social workers who tirelessly go about improving the lives of vulnerable people day to day. You are indeed angels in disguise. One of the most vulnerable groups in society are our children, and we know that the family is the basic building block of society and necessary for teaching sound morals and values. This is recognized in the Children's Act, which is administered by Social Development, which besides protecting children, seeks to promote and protect families. Yet we know there are many dysfunctional families in society. As a result, Parliament has deemed it necessary to protect the most vulnerable in society, our children. Hence, we have laws that only allow children to purchase alcohol and cigarettes when they reach the age of 18. Clearly, Parliament believes that children are not mature enough to appreciate the risks of these activities. We have, however, inconsistencies in ages in laws, which I will now highlight. The Sexual Offences Act determines that no child under the age of 16 can consent to have sex with an adult. Again, it is aimed to protect vulnerable and impressionable children. In terms of this act, no child under the age of 16 can consent to sex at all. Anyone engaging with sex with a child can and should be charged with rape. The Children's Act as well stipulates that a child over the age of 12 may consent to a surgical operation only if they have the mental capacity to understand the benefits, risks, and other implications, and is duly assisted by a parent and a guardian. Yet children of any age can engage in an abortion without parental consent. This is disgraceful and is a contradiction. How is this possibly in the interests of children? Now we have the Department of Basic Education. He's proposing to give male and female condoms to all learners. This could be to children as young as 10 years and younger. And this is an issue which we, as social development, as justice, need to raise. Whilst we appreciate teenage pregnancies and AIDS pandemics and teachers preying on learners needs to be addressed, clearly this proposal from Basic Education flies directly against the policy of social development and justice. A comprehensive policy of educating children about the issue of sexuality and the risks associated therewith is necessary. Lastly, Chairperson, I would plead that government adopts a consistent approach to ages of consent. It makes no sense that we in Parliament decide that only an 18-year-old can buy cigarettes or alcohol, while at the same time we can say a 10-year-old can have access to abortion and contraceptives even without parental consent. This is not only morally wrong, but flies in the face of building a healthy society founded on sound family values. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. I'm now calling upon Honourable Mbinda.
Honourable Chair, honourable members, South Africa is patent with vast inconsistencies in prosperity, resources, educational and career prospects. The Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania understands that the social injustice and economic imbalances are still the order of the day in our country. The most paramount affliction of the people of our country is poverty. It affects millions of people, and the majority being women and people residing in rural areas. The formal sector of the economy, the gap between the rich and the poor is widening. As the PAC, we believe that a restoration of land back to its rightful owners is the only way to address. To us, land is money. Until the land issue is addressed, our people will remain beggars. Social security is one of the many devices for poverty mitigation and prevention, but it should be instigated with other progressive welfare strategies to target the causes and manifestation of poverty. The PAC believes that South Africa should offer the poor a safety net. The social grants is barely even cover the 60% of the poor, a percentage which seems to be growing each year. This growth puts a socio-economic challenge for the country. The constitution of this country obliges the government to work towards progressive expansion of social security. Approximately more than 40% of the labor force is shielded
1
by
minute left,
unemployment
Honourable.
insurance fund. In South Africa, job-related retirement is not available for people who are not in the formal wage economy. That means that there are numerous unskilled workers who are not even covered by this particular measure. The social grants that our government is giving to our people are not sustainable, but instead we are creating a nation of beggars. Lento yes social grants, more especially food parcels, esetyenziswayo kubantu bakuthi ngexesha levoti is an insult to our nation. It is an insult to our nation.
Order,
And
order, honourable
it is-
members, order.
This is disheartening and undermining our African nation. In fact, PAC deems it as an insult to us. For
Honourable member, I'm sorry, your time has expired.
neneka abantu
Honourable
bethu
member,
igrosari
honourable member,
xa
honourable member.
nifuna ivoti
Honourable member,
ninyelisa
your time has
isizwe
expired.
sama-Afrika.
I'm now calling upon Honourable Wilson.
The National Development Agency will receive 184 million from the Department of Social Development. 29 million will be spent on direct CSO funding. 4.5 million will be utilized for direct community development funding. And a further 28.7 million on direct project funding. Much emphasis is put on capacitation and training. Chairperson, the DSD has planned to train 1,200 community development projects and to support 300 cooperatives. Are these not classified as CSOs? When members of the portfolio asked why both the DSD and the NDA were proposing to fulfill the same functions, the chairperson advised us that this had been noticed prior to the presentations and that the matter had been taken up with the minister. The portfolio was told that the presentation by the DSD was just a draft and at the next sitting the final presentation would be put to us. Chairperson, when the second report was presented, the only real changes were to Programme 1 and absolutely no changes were made to the overlapping APPs. We called upon the Minister this time last year to address the lack of convergence between the NDA and the Department of Social Development. It appears that the Minister has chosen to ignore sound advice yet again. Chairperson, the Minister must explain the difference between direct CSO funding of 29 million and direct community development funding of 4.5 million and a further 28.7 million on direct project funding. The NDA could not give us clarification. They sound frightfully familiar. The committee was gobsmacked when the NDA, who were given in excess of 30 million rand for direct project funding in 2014-15, could not advise how many CSOs were funded. Millions were gone, but nobody could tell us where. They advised us it was not measured. The NDA has budgeted 3.4 million for ECD awards. In the NDA APPs, there is not one single indicator of how many ECD centers will benefit, how they will be awarded, no annual targets, no quarterly targets. Are we going to allow them to spend 3.4 million of the public's money and just accept their report when it says, we spent the money, but we did not measure how many ECDs benefited? I think not, Minister. What is going on in this department, Chairperson? The Minister has only attended 2 of the 8 portfolio meetings this year, which means that its members have not been able to raise their concerns and questions. Honourable Masilo, why did you not mention your own minister's attendance record? How much time did the minister spend out of the country this year? How long was she in the United States? Pray tell. It appears that the minister has no regard for the portfolio committee or their oversight function. Perhaps the minister was too busy garnering support for her presidential campaign in the Women's League. Perhaps they have forgotten the Travelgate scandal and her conviction. Had our minister been sufficiently involved in the department she is responsible for, this appalling mismanagement and lack of communication between the department and its entities could have been avoided. There is a well-known saying, Chairperson, while the cat is away, the mice will play. In this case, the saying should go, while the minister is away, the entire department falls into disarray.
Honourable Member, I'm afraid your time has expired.
The poorest of the poor are being neglected.
Thank you, Honourable Member. I'm now calling upon Honourable Malchus.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. I thought that today I was going to give a speech, but I'll do my sweeping. You know, because we have to sweep when you speak last. Minister, Chairperson, I have to declare up front that when it comes to the DA and the EFF, they supported or adopted this budget speech of the minister with reserve and the department. And when it comes to reserve, it means, if you say with reserve, you are neither here or there. Are you inside the house or are you outside the house?
Point of order, Chair.
What is your point of order?
I need to correct the facts. The DA did not just reserve.
not a
They
point of
adopted
order.
with
Honourable Member.
reservations. Thank you. There is a difference.
Honourable Member, that's not a point of order.
Reservations and reserve is exactly the same.
On a point of order, Chair.
Which meant, julle is draadsitters.
Honourable Member.
The Honourable Malchus must tell the House the truth.
It's not a point of order, Honourable
It's a point of
Member.
order.
It is not. It is not a point of order.
But I didn't adopt the vote, the budget.
Okay, Honourable
Thank you.
Member. Can you have a seat?
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me come to the debates itself. I'm speaking to the Honourable Kopana because she's representing the DA. When it comes to SASSA, SASSA was very upfront when it came to corruption within our grants, because I questioned them on it. And they told us how much money was paid back already. So let us discuss these things within our committee meetings, because you are not doing it if you come in here to speak. When it comes to the child support grant, the minister was very clear that the government of Thailand has just adopted the program based on our child support grant. We were also praised by international agencies. And that comes for Honourable Carter when it comes to our social protection systems. All of these grants, we know, are administered by SASSA. We acknowledge the challenges of SASSA, but they are doing a lot, and they're doing a lot that is right. If you look at the report of the World Bank, we are number 4 on the index when it comes to our child support grant. And the World Bank would never support us They'll never support us if we are corrupt. And these agencies like Thailand will never emulate South Africa if there's such a lot of corruption the way you are going on within our system. When it comes to the EFF, on the food parcels, what I would like to say up front, we had the Honorable Maxim in our committee meeting, and she was very good. She questioned. But your new member don't even show up at meetings. But she has a right to come to this podium to come and speak her mind about things she's not sure of. When it comes to the food parcels, it falls under disaster and social relief of distress. And that is for our distressed people. And when it comes to whether it's food parcels, because money is given out to. Even when it comes to babies under 3, they get a baby pack. And the baby pack has Kimbies in it. It has food, etc. And I would like to tell you that these, when it comes to social relief of distress, it's done 365 days a year. But you only see these things at elections.
Chairperson.
3 weeks ago,
Chairperson.
when there was flooding
Chairperson.
in Klein Square, this was given out. Thank you.
Honourable member.
Please may I ask whether by-elections are disasters?
I won't answer that question at all.
Okay.
You have to ask me, Honourable Van der Merwe, if I'll take
Yes,
a
honourable
question.
member. Okay, honourable member.
Thank you. And I see it is 365 times a year. Days a year. And then also when it comes to our migrants in South Africa, go to them, speak to them, and they'll tell you a different story of social development, not the story that you are speaking about here. So speak to them. And then something else too when it comes to social relief of distress. I would like to say something to you. Over this weekend, we were told the DA approached a woman from Site and Service to have a soup kitchen from her home. And what did she say? No, I am ANC. So I'd like you people to know that too. Then something else, when it comes to our social workers. I hope Honourable de Kock and even Honourable Swartz are social workers, because I am not going to answer that question. I'm leaving it to the minister that's a social worker. I was at the Indaba, and the social worker says, we don't speak to teachers. We don't speak to anyone that does not have a social worker degree. So I'm leaving that over to the minister itself. When it comes to job creation, I think it was spoken to somewhere. Minister, your department is very innovative, and we must congratulate you on this. Because when it comes to, we no longer working according to traditional traditional welfare. We're working towards a developmental state, and our department here is social development. And when you look at, I'm not sure which program it is of the department. The department the department is the lead department when it comes to job or work opportunities. They have the community work programs, which are of a long duration, and 80% of our new participants will be the unemployed youth. When it comes, social protection will be provided to the military veterans, in which the services will create jobs. And then, when it comes to these job creation opportunities, we'll ask the minister just to give the constituency officers their plans, and then also how will it work. Yes, we don't mind. If you don't want it, we'll take it. And then when it comes to Mrs. Carter, Honorable Carter, yes, I'm very honest about it. If you don't want it, we will take it. When it comes to Mrs. Carter, if you read the Treasury, Honorable Carter, the Treasury report,
1 minute left.
or
Honourable Member.
the budget speech from Treasury, this one, if you look at page 9, the minister was promised by Treasury itself that they'll have another meeting when it comes to our comprehensive social security budget. Because if you look at what the department spoke to us about, this, I got it in my hands. They speak about our comprehensive social security program, and they also speak to social protection. So you people have to, the honorable members have to read their notes. And I would like to end off by thanking the ANC members. I won't thank the committee. I'm thanking the ANC members for the contribution they made
Honourable Member,
to
your time
this
has
budget
expired.
debate.
Honourable
And
Member,
also,
your time has expired.
all right,
I'm afraid.
as the ANC, we support this budget debate, support the budget of the department. Thank you.
I'm now calling upon the Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Firstly, it's in your mouth. Firstly, we are talking to people that are from a conference who behave as if they are committed to all the rights in the world, who are committed to the Constitution, which has got a Bill of Rights. And the same person they elected, they've been campaigning for, stated it clearly that he is against LGBTIs. And some of you were working with our minister
beg your pardon,
to fight for
Chairperson.
that.
Ian,
Honourable
a point of
Minister.
order.
Thanks.
Secondly,
Minister, can you hold on?
Chairperson, the minister is deliberately misleading the House. The Honourable Maimani did not say he's against LGBT rights.
Honourable
He
Member.
said he supports them. Quite the opposite. So the minister must withdraw those comments. She knows she's misleading the House.
Honourable Member, that's not a point of order. You can't.
Of course it's a point of order. Someone's misleading the House.
It's her understanding of what was said, Honourable Member. We can't say she is deliberately, but it is her understanding of what was said.
Well, the minister's understanding is incorrect. That's for
Can you-
sure. Just like her department's understanding.
And
Minister.
Chairperson,
Honourable.
secondly, all those that are saying social security is not sustainable. Is poverty sustainable? And one other thing, you've been saying we must come with suggestions, but you've not come up with those suggestions. And in your charter, you talk about a social protection. And what does social protection mean? What definition do you give to social protection? You are speaking in tongues, you must go and study that liberal document. Because what liberals do, is to promise a mirage, something that you cannot catch. And they talk about equal opportunities. How can you talk about equal opportunities when there are farm workers and farm owners?
On a point of order, Chair.
Honorable Ministers, what's the point of order?
With due respect, can the Honorable Minister respond to the debate in terms of issues presented in the House?
Honorable Member, that's not a
Cannot
that's not
come
a
and
point
talk
of
about the
order.
conference of the Democratic Alliance.
Not a
She
point-
must
But
respond
you
to the
do.
issues
Everybody
debated
can-
on the speech.
Honorable Member, can we give
The
each other
question
a chance to debate,
to Honorable
members,
Kopane
please?
is the DA against social protection system for the poor? Is the DA seeking to change the Bill of Rights in the Constitution? Tell the public, are you saying a stature that people must pull themselves up by their own bootstraps? Because that is what she said. And that is the theory you are bringing here. A theory that is uncooked. And your ideas are exactly the same with a Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher theory. Absolutely. And they brought those things in when they saw that people in their countries, the poor, were developing. And they wanted to stop that development. And then often children need abortion because most of the time they are raped. I'm not your radio. I'm not your gramophone.
Honorable
If you
members-
are a gramophone that side,
Order.
I'm not a gramophone here. And most of the time, children are raped by family members or close people. And therefore, it is counterproductive to try to get them to do so only with which other party are you going to now? Which is your next party that you're going to join? So, what is
You have 1 minute,
said
Honorable Minister, 1
is
minute
that
left.
children end up going to back room or back street abortion? And do we want our children to die? Why we would encourage a delay on sexual activity by children and teenagers? We cannot bury our head in the sand. We need to ensure that when people do engage in sex, that is sex, and that should be safe sex. And also, some of the issues that have been raised here are the issues that have been raised in questions. And some of the questions that the DA has been asking are the pages. We must go and read the report for them and tell them where the information is.
Thank you,
The page
thank
and
you, Honorable
whatever.
Minister.
So I won't respond to the things that
Minister.
we've been continuously responding to.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister.
And Chairperson, I had someone.
Honorable Minister, your time has expired. I'm sorry. I'm afraid. Members are reminded that the Extended Public Committee on Budget Vote 13, that is women, will take place in this very room at 16:40. That concludes the debate and the business of the Extended Public Committee. The committee will now rise.